Michael Massa. Textile Trade and Industry in the Kingdom of Kongo, 1483 to 1914. In this Kingdom of Kongo they make cloths of palm leaf as soft as velvet, some of them embroidered with velvet satin, as beautiful as any made in Italy. This is the only country in the whole of Guinea where they know how to make these cloths. Duarte Pacheco Pereira, 15051. The Kingdom of Kongo was one of Africa's largest textile producers prior to the colonial era. The exceptional caliber of Kongo's luxury textiles attests to the impressive technical abilities developed in the region generations before Western contact, that continued to flourish well into the 19th century. Textiles were at once omnipresent in Congo's society and crucial in the wielding of power by its elite. From their industrial levels of production that rivaled contemporary textile producers around the world, to the sophisticated system of trade and elaborate display, Kongo's textiles were central to Kongo's social and political economy. This article explores the history of cloth making, trade, and industry in Kongo, from its earliest documentation in the 1480s to its decline at the turn of the 20th century. Map of West Central Africa showing the Kingdom of Kongo, in blue, and its neighbors, Portuguese Angola, red, Longo and Matamba, green. History of cloth making in the Kingdom of Kongo. The region of West Central Africa was one of the most industrious textile-producing regions on the continent. Since the late first millennium, cloth making in this region relied on the manipulation of raffia threads of the palm tree which grew in the textile belt extending from the mouth of the Zaire River to the western shores of Lake Tanganyika. For most of West Central Africa's history, controlling parts of this textile belt was central to the political strategies of many of the expansionist kingdoms such as Congo. By the early 16th century, the Kingdom of Kongo expanded eastwards into parts of textile-producing regions, and would continue to hold them well into the 17th century. 3. Unlike most of Kongo's material culture that is relatively well preserved in archaeological contexts, textiles made of plant fiber cannot survive the region's humid tropical climate. Fortunately, Kongo's cloth was highly regarded by European visitors who acquired it as part of diplomatic and commercial exchanges with the kingdom since the 15th century. Artifacts produced in Kongo arrived in Europe soon after the Portuguese landed at Kingdom's coast in 1483. Chief among these was the intricately patterned raffia cloth made by Kongo's weavers. Early visitors were astonished to find an excellent variety of raffia cloth which was well woven with many colors, featuring geometric patterns that were ornamented in high and low relief. Majority of the early chroniclers of exchanges between Kongo and Portugal, such as Ruy de Pina, died in 1522, Garcia de Resende, d. 1536, and Geronimo Osorio, died in 1580, underscore the inclusion of such textiles among the gifts sent by the Kong king João I, 1470 to 1509, to the Portuguese ruler João II. However, the earliest surviving Kongo textiles we have today were made slightly later in the mid-16th century, and were widely redistributed by Kongo's Portuguese, Italian and Dutch commercial partners across Western capitals as diplomatic gifts given on royal ceremonies, and as part of collections that indicated their owners' refinement and cosmopolitan inquiry. Kongo's textiles thus appear across various collections from Florence to Prague to Stockholm to Copenhagen as highly valued products whose quality was appreciated by their receivers as much as it was by the producers in Kongo. Corroborating earlier Portuguese accounts about the quality of Kongo's cloth, Italian priests of the Capuchin order who visited Kongo in the early 17th century compared Kongo's cloth with the best in their own lands, which was at the time, the best in Europe. It was in this context that an Italian visitor named Antonio Zucchelli, who in 1705 reached Kongo's province of Soyo, remarked about their textiles that, they are well woven, and well worked, as colorful as they have some resemblance to the velvet of opera, and they are strong and durable. This appreciation of Kongo's textile products and the numerous descriptions of its manufacture and popularity indicates the importance of cloth in the kingdom's economy prior to the arrival of Europeans. Long-established traditions in the weaving of cloth from raffia threads are recorded in various travel accounts, and rural communities which exclusively produced and traded cloth across the region were home to some of Kongo's most active markets. Kongo luxury cloth, cushion cover, 17th to 18th century, Polo Museo del Lazio, Prehistoric Ethnographic Museum Luigi Pigarini Rome. Kongo luxury cloth, cushion cover, 18th to 19th century, National Museum Prince's Palace. Raffia textiles were a marker of socio-political status. The quality and quantity of the cloth used for a garment, the number of garments and the richness of its design all indicated their wearer's status. In Kongo, as in the neighboring kingdoms of Longo and Matamba, certain types of textiles were reserved for the king, and the right top where them could only be bestowed by him to a few favored officials. Kongo's elite competed with each other in ostentatious display at public gatherings such as assemblies or dances. While most of Kongo's subjects wore plain weave cloth as their daily dress, the elites and nobility wore a range of different luxury textiles to mark their social-political status. A unit/length of raffia cloth consisted of a single ankle-length or knee-length wrapper, requiring a few of these to make up a complete garment for a commoner. The elites, on the other hand, wore longer and more layers of these wrappers, adding many lengths to hung over the shoulder as well as an nkuden net over the chest, and a mpu cap over the head. Costumes for special occasions consisted of various wrappings of layers of lengthy plaited wrappers decorated with vibrant patterns and colors. According to an 18th century account, raffia cloth was made into long coats resembling togas, velvets, brocades, satins, taffetas, damasks, sarsenets, as well as bags and other accessories. Cloth was not just used for clothing, it was also used lavishly for wall hangings and carpets/mats in houses. Textiles served as main currencies for Kongo's rulers and elites to build and maintain personal networks of patronage. Rulers hoarded all sorts of raffia cloth in their treasury houses along with imported cloth brought to them by European traders but originating from diverse regions, especially India. They collected plain weave cloth as tributes and fines and used it as gift stipends to officials and clients, and they kept stores of luxury cloth to adorn their palaces and courts. The luxury market therefore absorbed raffia products from different origins as well as overseas imports from Europe or from West Africa, none of which directly replaced another. 17th century illustration of King Garcia II of the Congo, R. 1641–1661, Receiving the Capuchin Missionaries, by Giovanni Antonio Cavazzi. Aristocrats in the Congo Kingdom, ca. 1692, Houghton Library, Harvard University. Photos by Cecile Fromont. The man is wearing a mpu cap and an nkute cape shown below. Kongo luxury cloth, cape, nkutu, made of natural colored raffia fiber, 19th century, British Museum. Kongo woven fiber bag with tufted balls along top and bottom edges, 19th century, Brooklyn Museum. Kongo prestige cap, 19th century, Art Institute of Chicago, prestige cap, 19th century, Atlanta High Museum of Art, prestige cap, early 20th century, Smithsonian. In all regions of West Central Africa, raffia fabrics were associated with rites of passage and were used during rituals of birth, initiation, marriage, and burial. This was best attested in Kongo's northern neighbor, the Kingdom of Longo, where demand for both local luxury cloth and imported cloth grew significantly during the 18th century as a result of changing cultural practices related to elite funerals. It became customary to wrap the corpse of the ruler, patrician or rich trader in a huge bale composed of pieces of cloth, mostly raffia with a few imports, that were taken from the estate of the deceased or from funeral donations. By the 1780s, such cloth coffins had become so big that sometimes wagons and a road had to be built to transport the shroud to its grave. For much of the late 15th to late 16th century, the Portuguese traders living on the island of São Tomé and were active along Congo's coast had seen little commercial success in insinuating themselves into the existing trading patterns since they couldn't offer adequate products from their home country. The best they could accomplish was to reinvigorate the coastal trade in raffia cloth, which they retailed in the interior region of their Angola colony, where it quickly became a form of currency. They also begun importing a variety of cloth from the Mediterranean world and India that could match the quality and patterns of locally produced luxury cloths. By the turn of the 16th century, Portuguese traders resident in São Tomé were buying significant quantities of Congo's decorated cloth, and one of them who died in 1507 left an estate that included many cushions covered in Congo's cloth. 15 Soon Angola-based merchants were traveling across Congo to the northeasternmost territories claimed by the kingdom. Congo established customs stations along the route and charged substantial taxes on the commerce. The trade in textiles was in the hands of the long-established merchants of Congo, and to them was added the newly arrived patrons of Angola. But production remained in the hands of local weavers in Congo's northeastern provinces, and the markets for cloths were retained in these regions as well, such as at Kundi and Okanga.